Identity is a card effect where the participant draws on a card, you then draw magic marks on the back of another card, and then proceed to move those magic marks from one card to another, finally moving it to the participant's chosen card. And for the climax, you ask what the participant's name is, and upon shaking the card, the magic marks change to their name, and you can give them this card that they drew on, which now has their name on the back. So let's look at the good, the bad, and the rest of Identity by Richard Sanders, and if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how I ring in the gimmick for this effect. The good. I gravitated towards this effect because I was looking for something that would leave a big and impossible impact to those I'm performing for. There's nothing more personal than someone's name, and having their name show up on their card without you having known their name until the moment just before the change never ceases to get big reactions for me. Richard Sanders teaches multiple versions of this effect, from a short routine where you go from the magic mark straight to the name change reveal, to the longer routine which I prefer to do as it builds up the effect and really catches them off guard when the name appears. There's also a cleaner version taught, which while it would look cleaner, allowing you the extra freedom of displays, I find it a bit overkill, but good to know for those who want that option. The effect uses a gimmick card which you may or may not have, but it's not too difficult to obtain one or make one, and is a great example of getting some strong magic out of one extra card. There's a version taught that doesn't use the gimmick card as well, but you lose some clean displays as a result. But like the overkill version, it's good to know and shows you how in-depth Richard has gotten with this effect to flesh out so many variations for you to peruse from. The bad. Some people might not like that it uses a gimmick card, especially the one that you can't allow to live inside the deck like you could a duplicate card, for example. I got around this by keeping it in my plastic sleeve of the card box, and when I'm ready to do the effect during the time the participant is drawing on the card, I load the card by slipping it out of the plastic and onto the top of the deck. Look at that, I didn't make you wait until the end of the video to tell you how I use the gimmick. But continue watching and I'll share how I get not just their name but their drawing on the card too. Back to the idea of ringing in the gimmick, your participant's attention is all directed towards signing the card, so it's amazing what you can get away with during that time. Good tip. Another minor bad point is that the effect uses up a card each time you do it, and it's immediately not usable for further effects since it's signed on both sides, back and front. With other signed card effects, usually the face is the only one that's signed, allowing you to do numerous effects with it. But with Identity, it's a one and done effect. I'm fine with this as it's usually my closer to my cards, and it's often foolish to follow it with something else after the reaction that you get from it. Anything else would just diminish your performance. This effect is usually part of my red deck set where the cards are often signed, mangled, and given away, and the effect is not dependent on having a full deck. The final negative I've encountered is that the first couple phases where the magic marks jump from card to card in various ways as taught by Richard don't garner as strong a reaction as the routine progresses. This might be a personal issue of mine where audiences often seem more perplexed at how these marks are moving from card to card and not going wow like I thought they would, but often they're going wait, what just happened? Then when their marks finally jump onto their signed card, they finally react with a wow. So that's something to be aware of if you think you'll get a consistent reaction through the routine. It's more like a crescendo. I think the reason for this is that they have no relation to these magic marks I've drawn or the cards the marks are jumping onto. For all intents and purposes, I'm just a magician showing off what these marks can do. I will have to look at how to reframe these initial few phases appropriately before the final, but if you have thoughts yourself, please share your experiences. The rest. If you're familiar with Magic, you know with an effect like this where a person's name you didn't know beforehand magically appears on the back of their signed card requires some pre-effect work. Richard goes through how to accomplish this, and while it might be initially worrisome whether the payoff would work or not, I've not had any troubles with it, and even in the case where I do already know the name, the effect still works. I performed this effect for a man's birthday and his name was Alan, which can be spelt many ways, so when the name Alan showed up on the card, everyone still reacted well because it was phonetically his name, before telling me that that wasn't how it's spelt, which while deflating was worth the risk. The opposite is when you spell a tricky name right, which makes it all the more impressive. So that's something to be aware of, and even more so with unfamiliar names. But the good thing with card magic is that the audience don't know where the trick is going. So if you don't feel like performing Identity at the time, you don't need to. Personally, I have moments early on in my set to help me decide whether I want to do identity or not, so I'm not thinking later on when I have my cards out, what trick should I do? This also means that this isn't a trick you can do in every setting, but you can definitely do it in most settings. It's decent with angles for the most part. When you're performing the routine, you just need to watch your angles when you're drawing the magic marks and doing changes, which is standard card magic angles. Cleanup is pretty simple. As they are reacting, it's not difficult to return the gimmick card back to the deck so you're ready and clean for the next group. Although I have on occasions forgot about the card, left it in the deck and somehow had someone pick the card, leaving them confused. But I just take the card, put it in the box and have them select another card, and they forget about that moment altogether because I don't make a big deal about it, and neither should you. As I continue to perform this effect, I've heard on some occasions from participants that they were half expecting their drawing to show up on the back along with their name as well, which is a great idea. So when possible, I'll try to accomplish this along with the name as well. Without explicitly giving away how it's done, all I'll tell you is that after the participant draws on the card, you lose the card into the pack and then turn over the top card to show that it's not on top, before returning the card onto the top of the deck. You can then proceed with the routine as per normal, and hopefully with your card magic knowledge, my description is enough for you to get on your way. Right now, the best way to get identity is from Richard Sanders' website, which I'll link below so you can check it out along with his other awesome creations. And if you're wondering what other effects I do as part of my walk around set, check out this video and have a magical day.